I'd like to introduce you to the new AIRA series. My name is David Ahlund. I'm product specialist for AIRA series, and basically what it is, if you don't know, it's basically a sort of a retro thing at the same time as we're adding new features as well. So we have a look back on, for instance, the TR-808 and the TR-909 drum machines. We also have the TB-303, which also of course implies it can do everything you can do with a TB-303, and also a lot more than that. There's also the VT3, the voice transformer, which my mic is now connected to. I'll show you this more later. And also the System 1. So just to have some fun in the beginning, I just want to play all of this stuff at once and have a little jam and just see how, give you an impression of how they work together. So of course everything is MIDI synchronized with each other. So yeah, let's party. So this is the AIRA series. I'd like to introduce you one by one to, for instance, let's start with the TR-8. So this is a drum machine, and again, as I said, it has all the sounds from the TR-808 and the TR-909. It's all modeling, so there's no sampling involved, and it's all 96 kilohertz quality sound, so it's really high quality. Actually, all of these units have 96 kilohertz quality sound, and also they all have built-in audio interfaces. And actually, the TR-8 even has separate outputs for each and every single piece of the drum kit. So this means that you can record all the pieces individually on their own tracks in just one recording take, which is really convenient if you're working with Logic or Pro Tools or whatever you're recording with. So let's just start with this one, and I'll just show you to begin with a basic TR-808 kit, so to give you an impression of the genuine sound quality here. So you have all the original parameters of the TR-808. So you can, for instance, you can edit the snappy of the snare. You can tune the bass drum, for instance. You can also shake the whole booth, and if you have neighbors you don't like, you can do this to them as well. So really genuine TR-808 sounds. And also something new we have is compression individually on the kick and the snare, so you can even give it some extra punch, which shines extra nicely actually when you have the TR-909 kit. So check that out. So this is without compression or very low compression, and this is with compression. You get a really snappy kick and snare. So that's for the sounds, but also we have some really fun features in the sequencer. You can do some cool new things. We have a reverb unit and a delay unit, so you can actually put reverb and delay on individual steps because they're sequenceable. So I can put reverb here, like that, and there, and there. You get this kind of groove. Also, again, you can do the same thing with the delay. So I put maybe a delay hit on number 13 like this. And you can also assign these effects to apply, for instance, to the whole kit, or to just the clap, or to just the clap and the snare, and so on. So that's a really cool thing. Also, a very important feature, which is basically a theme we have for all of these products, is what we call the scatter. And I think you heard me playing a little bit with this. This is basically a live effect, and what it does is that it chops up the pattern in 16 individual pieces, and it will rearrange those pieces and also retrig them faster and faster. And sometimes it will also add some additional effects like ring modulation, pitch shifting, and some different filter types like high-pass filter, low-pass filter. So I can also control, of course, the intensity of the scatter effect, so I can activate it right here like this. 4. Now it's on, and I can just increase it gradually. And off. So it's really cool for live mixing and especially also if you're a DJ, you know, you can incorporate this into your tractor set or wherever and add your own flavor to it. Also, there are different types of scatters. So this is the basic retrigging one. We have other types as well. So we have 10 different ones. This is more of a pitch shifting related scatter. Other types too. Let's try something else. Here you can hear the filter. So it retreats and also adds low pass filter. Same thing, but with high-pass filters. You have a lot of choices there with the scatter effect. And also, again, remember it has individual outputs, so it's really easy to record. Also, a nice new feature is the external input. So actually, my TB303 is going into the TR-8, so I can just turn it up right here. Like this. Okay, I'll choose another pattern. more straight one to make it more obvious. So we have some sidechain now. So you can sidechain anything coming into the external input. And for instance, now it's of course a TB3, but you can connect anything you like that has a line signal, like an iPod or whatever you want. And the sidechain trigger is sequenceable, so I can put sidechain on only step number 1, for instance. So now you can hear it ducking there. I can also put it on 1 and 9, or just all 4 steps. And now you get that classic ducker effect. So yeah, that's it for the TR8 for now, I think. And actually, it conveniently moves me to the TB3. So of course this is partly based on the classic TB303 bassline, but also you can do a lot more than that. But we can start with the typical TB303 style sounds and patterns. So I'll bring up something here. So all the filters in these devices are really, really smooth. You cannot hear any digital steps or anything like that. Actually, it's based on something that Roland calls ACB technology. This means that our engineers have analyzed every single component of an analog circuit and analyzed how they affect the sound individually, and then reproduce this in a digital environment. So basically, you get an analogish sound, but you still have the digital advantages. So here you can hear the smoothness, the warmth of the sound, and the smoothness of the filter, and of course the very important accent is still very spot on as well. Now try a square wave. Also, it actually has a lot of built-in effects as well. So for instance, you can use compression, distortion and delay at the same time. You also have a lot of other effects like phaser, flanger, reverb, and all kinds of effects inside here. So I'll just use this sound. Of course, Roland and Boss is basically the same brand, as you might know. So this means you get Boss quality distortions, which is really nice for a TB303. Control the delay here. But you do not only have TB303 sounds, you have all kinds of other bass sounds as well. So I could just randomly browse through a few of them here. Even lead sounds. So it's basically just a synthesizer that can do TB303 sounds. So also we have the pad here. This of course partially serves as a keyboard, but it does a lot more than that. So I can, for instance, we can try the keyboard mode, just play here and it will stop the pattern. And so on, but you can also use it in the XY play mode. This means it does basically the same thing, but it's a more seamless way. So like that. Also there's the envelope modulation button. This will now turn it into an XY pad, so it will control 2 power meters of the sound simultaneously with just placing your finger like this. And that's actually assignable, so depending on what patch you have, you can control the distortion of the delay of the filter with this pad. There's also pattern select, so I can choose between different patterns. And lastly, of course, this one has the scatter function too, so I can, here's the basic retrigger algorithm again. And so on. Again, there's other ones. We can do pitch shifting. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Also, as you just heard, ring modulation effects. So really, really cool for live use. And again, built-in audio interface, so really easy to record into your DAW. So yeah, that's the TB3. I'll move on to the VT3. The VT3 now. This is basically a voice processor, but it's actually a voice processor, synthesizer, and vocoder in the same box. And if you're familiar with the VT1, which is a very old classic, the Roland voice transformer, that one, you can do anything you can do with that one with this, but you can also do a lot more than that, as usual. And also, this will be a lot easier to find because the VT1 is really rare nowadays, also very expensive, by the way. So, a common thing for all these effects is that I can actually control the pitch and the format of my voice or my sound individually, apart from the effect. So here's my pitch, for instance. You can control it like this, and I can go up an octave, and I can also go down an octave, and everything in between as well. There's also the format
slider. So this changes.
This does not change the pitch, but it changes the character. So I can
sound a lot smaller
or a lot bigger. So you can go anywhere from big woman to small man, and everything in between. So that's just the basic settings. But then there's also, of course, all the effects. So we have the effects. For instance, we have auto-tune. So if you can't sing, this can help you make yourself sound a little bit better when you sing. So I can actually, since I have these sliders separately, I can sound like a girl and auto-tune at the same time. So I can go like some say love, it is a river that drowns the tangerine. Yeah, so things like that. But you can also, of course, auto-tune your normal voice. Then there's the vocoder there, and this is actually also based on an old Roland classic called the VP330. I think you might actually know this classic sound from, for instance, the Beastie Boys. Intergalactic, planetary, intergalactic, another dimension. So that's a very famous vocoder sound. You have this here again, modeled with ACB technology, it stays on one note all the time, which I control with a pitch wheel. You can also blend it with your own voice, the dry signal, so you can put it in between like this. But if you turn the robot mode off, then it will follow my personal pitch, so I can just sing. I can go twinkle, twinkle, little star. Also, you can sound like hello, I am Stephen Hawking. So you can do that as well. There's also a synth part inside, so let's try those out. You have some spooky leads here, for instance. It's kind of a horror movie from the 60s or whatever, like. Dracula. And then there's a bass also, or as I call it, dubstep for beginners. You don't, and if you want to make dubstep and you don't know how to produce or anything, you have basically no talent, you can still just yell some stuff into the mic with this sound, and bam, there you got it. You know, like you can go. So it doesn't have to be harder than that. You can also, again, you can control the format and I mean sort of the character filter in this case with the bass sound as well. So you can go. You can also shake the whole booth so it collapses. That's really nice too. Also, megaphone effect will make everything sound like a Rage Against the Machine. So you can go like,
well, this mic device suspend non-fiction. Who got the power? This being my question.
Things like that. There's also the radio effect. So this kind of thing. And lastly, there's also the scatter again. This does not, of course, have any pattern or sequencer like that. So the scatter works differently here. It will actually create a delay based on your input. So if I input something slow, it will do a slow delay. And if I input something fast, it will do a fast delay. So I can, I'll just speak slowly. I can go, hello, 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 hello. then it does that. But if I do something quickly, then it will do a very fast delay. So I can go like a. So it's really nice if you don't suck at beatboxing like I do. It will sound really cool. So that's the VT3. And now, lastly. I want to show you also the System 1. Basically, the System 1 has a lot of different features, but also it actually has two modes, two main modes. So there's a System 1 mode and there's a plug-out mode. System 1 is, of course, its own synth, basically, in itself. But plug-out mode is where you will be able to import new synths that we will release. Actually, they will be based on Roland classics. So we will, for instance, release a virtual SH101, and you can just load that from your computer into here, then plug it out, and bam! Suddenly it turns into an SH101. I mean, virtually. And the SH101 does not have this many knobs. So what will happen is that when you put the SH101 in here, the knobs you cannot use will go dark, so you can easily see which parameters you can still use in the new synth that you import. So that's the plug-out concept. But, of course, the System 1 is a very clean synth in itself, and it's really nice for all kinds of electronic sounds. If you want to play pads, or leads, or nice twisted acid effects. It's really nice for any kind of electronic sound. But also it has something really new. It has new, for instance, it has new waveforms. So I don't know if you're familiar with something called Supersaw. As you might know, the waveform is the basic foundation of the entire sound. There's a waveform invented by Roland actually many years ago called Supersaw, which does not sound like that at all. 1 second. It sounds like this. And this is actually sort of the foundation, more or less, for any kind of electronic music you hear today. So the Supersaw is this very famous waveform, but now we actually have something called super square and super triangle. So it's the basic, it's the same principle as with the Supersaw, and but now it's applied to a square wave or a triangle wave. And actually there's a color knob here that controls the waveform's character as well. So if you use a super waveform, it will actually change the detune factor seamlessly. The Supersaw is really nice for nasty kind of drum and bass, breakbeat basses, this kind of thing. So that's the Supersaw. There's also the Super Square, which is a little bit more subtle. Then the basic stuff, we have two oscillators, the standard filter envelope and amp envelope. Also, we actually have a couple of effects on board. We have a reverb here and also delay. And also, lastly, the effect is Bit Crusher. Really nice for some super dirty digital stuff. But it can also sound really clean. So basically, System 1 is very versatile, also really neat to take with you on your gigs. And the last thing I want to show you here is the scatter, again, because like I said, all these products have the scatter effect, and in this case it's actually an arpeggiator, but it's more advanced than just an arpeggio. So I'll trig an arpeggio here, very basic arpeggio. Now, when you apply the scatter to this, it will actually increase the speed or decrease the speed of the arpeggio or the rhythm, and it will also, depending on what algorithm you choose, it will also do some other things too. So, for instance, I'll choose algorithm number 1. Now we'll spin this way, or slower. And of course, it always stays in the tempo as well. So if I do this, and bam, it's back in tempo. Let's add some effects to that. Now we can try some other algorithms too. Here's one. as you hear, it changes a lot of other things. So the algorithms that change other power meters, it actually makes some of the knobs starts blinking. That means it's also changing those parameters with the scatter knob. In this case, it's changing the resonance, the high pass filter, and so on. Let's try another one. Sometimes it just changes the rhythm. Here it changes to cross modulation and stuff. So kind of a unique thing there, the scatter. So that's the introduction of all the products, and I'm really happy for all of you coming, and thank you very much for staying, those of you who did. And my name is David Ahlund, so I just want to say thank you very much. And if you want to try this stuff out for yourself, we have a full setup there, we have a full setup there. Also, we have really nice staff members here, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll try to help you. So yeah, this is the AIRA series, check it out. I just want to play around with it a little bit, all at the same time again, just to finish off here. So, thank you very much for coming. Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. Check out the AIRA. Thank you very much. I'm David Ahlund.